Should I stay or should I go now? Welcome to Quaran-teens. I'm Wanda Montemayor. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Today what we're going to talk about is making that big decision of either doing digital learning or, if you have the option, sending your child or teen back to school. So the big question is hanging out there, and we're coming up to a place for many of us where we have to make that decision soon. Some school districts are starting out immediately with virtual learning, but for those who have the choice, we should go through the pros and the cons, and you should make your own. But before you do that, you have to address those foundational Maslow's Hierarchy of needs. If keeping your child home to do digital learning when you have the choice is going to affect your housing, if it's going to affect your ability to feed your children, then there's no question and there's no shame. You have to take care of your family's basic needs before anything else. For those who can work from home and do have some choices, it's important to make your pros and cons list. But the first thing you should do is have an authentic look at what going back to school will look like. Our kids have this idea that it's going to be just like it was before the pandemic, but that's not the actual truth. Here in Texas, TEA has given us some guidelines to keep our staff and our children healthy. So some of those guidelines are in line with the CDC's, such as 6 feet spacing from each other, PPE, which is personal protective equipment, so that means mask wearing for the entire day, lots of hand washing, no recess. That also includes no collaborative learning, because remember that 6 feet spacing, which a lot of our children are used to. It also looks like no access to the cafeteria, because we're keeping the large grouping together to small groups. So many of our children will actually be eating in their classroom. The next thing that I recommend parents do is make that pros and cons list about the benefits and the risks. So the pros of sending your child back into the school for in-live school is that they, especially if they have a learning disability, they have that immediate access to the teacher. Or if there's financial reasons where your child would for sure be eating lunch every day, or have access to a computer and technology if it may not be home. Those are really important. Talking about the cons, the very big one is there is a health risk. We are in a pandemic, so seeing if that is going to work for your family to have that exposure. The other con that I think is a big one for parents is no recess, no movement, so the movement will be really still. Another one is that teachers will be spread. They'll be also in charge of doing digital learning for some students while also doing in-house teaching for your child. So knowing that there's going to be a lot of moving parts and pieces. That's a lot for y'all to think about, and I know you have a lot to chew on. Trust yourself that you will be able to be a good teacher, and that the world is in a pandemic, and it will be okay whatever you decide. See you next time.